Today is the first larger refresh of Modern Warfare's second season. Last week we saw the first refresh with the introduction of some more love for Rust with the playlists of 1v1 and Flotation Oxidation, which was a split with shipments, basically just being a 24/7 playlist, but outside of that we didn't really get much more. This week offers up a bit more in the grand scheme of the rollout of Season 2, and with it being a title update, more substantial changes have come along with that. So today we're going to break down what all changed and what all you can expect to experience when you jump into the game for the first time after booting it up. That said, let me know your thoughts down below as we go along. Are you looking forward to jumping into the new map of Bazaar? Liking any other changes in particular? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know in the comments below. As well, if you are new to the channel, do be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're part of that nearly 70% of viewers who are not subscribed to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare on a daily basis. And of course, by all indications, it seems like the next few weeks may actually be pretty big in the grand scheme of Call of Duty, so the content will still be here all the same. If you're interested, the option's there. But anyways, let's jump into it. Firstly, let's talk about the update itself. It's going to vary depending on the platform you're on in terms of sizing, but for PlayStation 4, it was roughly 7 gigabytes. It was 11 gigabytes on Xbox One and just under 10 gigabytes on PC. Again, depending on what platform you're on, your internet speeds may depend on how quickly you can jump into it, but you're going to be prompted to download that before you can end up playing online here with Modern Warfare today. But when you jump in, first thing you may notice is that there's actually different tile imagery now for campaign, multiplayer, classified, co-op, and then the store. Now, these of course become more so static images that will zoom in a little bit as you stay hovered over top of it, but the one that you're probably curious about is that of classified. Is there anything that changed here? Well, actually, yes, but it's not anything that's truly substantial just yet, but it seems like it's building up to something that will be, and that is that there's a slight addition in the animation behind the classified glitch effect, but it also ends up having the text underneath classified saying transmission incoming. So what that means in the timetable for all of it, your guess is as good as mine, but worth noting to keep an eye out for that. Jumping into a big addition here of the brand new 2v2 map, Bazaar. This one is a 2v2 map, so it's small, it's close quarters, it's compact, it's tight, it has a little bit of verticality like Docs did, and it's one that I think from the get-go I'm interested in playing on. I'll of course have a fuller opinion as time passes and I get it in the rotation of 2v2, but Bazaar for the most part looks to be, personally, I think a little bit more complex than some of the other maps we've dealt with within 2v2. It's got some verticality to it, like we just said. There's a second story with it. There's a lot of different windows in different areas you'll have to be conscious of. It's not as open as, say, Atrium, where you can track players and you can at least know the general vicinity that they may be behind that one pillar or maybe the other one. This one, it has a little bit more in terms of cover to not be able to check crosses. So it may introduce some difficulties to gunfights, but it's one that, of course, you may want to try out for yourself, as it is a new map, so I'll be excited to jump into it in this rotation for 2v2, but that was added in today. Jumping over to the playlist, this is actually something that was really beefy in terms of what all we got introduced today. We normally end up seeing 3 different modes added into the rotation. That's kind of our max, but today we saw 4 new introduced and 1 staying around. Firstly, that being gunfight tournaments. We've talked about it here before. Gunfight tournaments, though, is something that we thought may have been limited to just last week, since the other time that we saw the tournament introduced, it was only around for 4 days. So we kind of felt like it was on borrowed time to begin with, being that we were going up to the 11-day mark, but now it seems like for a second week in a row, we're having that tournament available and ready to play for anyone who wants to jump into it. So that's there if you guys want to take advantage of that. But the newer stuff you can take a look at now is Boots on the Ground War, Gunfight 3v3 Snipers Only, the Dirty Old Houseboat, and Giant Infection. Now these, breaking those down, Boots on the Ground War is ground war but without tanks, and that is something that I am so incredibly happy for. I absolutely love ground war, but the tanks are always something that do become an annoyance. I know that, yes, if you run the right loadouts, they are very easy to take out, but I personally don't like shifting my entire playstyle to try and counter something that, to me, is just a free handout, and is something that, when it's a kill streak, it should be earned as a kill streak. I mean, it's literally in the kill streak list. So that's just my own personal preferences on tanks, so I'm definitely excited to jump into this. The only, though, kind of catch or caveat here with that is that it's a realism game mode on ground war. So you still have your standard ground war if you don't want to play and you want to mess around with tanks or whatever it may be, but if you want to try it out, you're going to also have the rules of realism, meaning no HUD. If I'm not mistaken, headshots are lethal, so those things that you'd see in the realism mosh pit, but instead moved over into ground war. So it's kind of a give and take, I guess. I'm going to try it out, and hopefully I do really enjoy it and the realism aspect of it, just because, well, there's no tanks, but that's added in today as well. Next, Gunfight 3v3 Snipers Only is exactly what you'd think here with this. It's the Snipers Only playlist that we saw a couple of weeks back now at this point, but with an upped player count to be 3v3. So you'll have the Snipers Only on the whole map rotation that you have on offer, Bazaar included in that, so you can try out the new map as well. But that'll be there for you guys to check out for you Gunfight junkies. Then one that is probably the biggest popular demand of Season 2 so far, at least from what I've seen in terms of community talk and discussion, is Dirty Old Houseboat. Now, quite the name here, if I may say so myself. I know some people were personally looking forward to Shoot the Rusty Ship, but the exact same thing as that, just a different name. So Shipment, Shoot House, and of course Rust, all in one mosh pit playlist, 24/7, only those 3 maps on a host of different game modes. It's a great way to grind out, I think. I just finished up my Damascus camo grind on Shipment whenever that was around with last week's Flotation Oxidation. So this adds a new dynamic with Shoot House in on that, and I know some people prefer Shoot House over Shipment and vice versa, so you now have it all in one location, which is fantastic. So for the grinders out there doing camo challenges, just wanting to rank up, get out there, get to it. This is your playlist. And then finally, one that is hotly anticipated and I'm incredibly excited to jump into over this next week is Giant Infection, which the name, again, quite the interesting terminology here for this, but it's Ground War Infected. So let the chaos ensue and, of course, get to it. That's going to be one that I am going to love here. But like I said, that's a big, hefty amount of changes to the playlist that we have on offer, and ones that I think are all pretty big hitters. I'm excited for this week. Outside of that, a quick little mention on the shop. We end up seeing a new operator introduced here with this, with the Mace Operator Bundle, very similar to how we saw Nikto introduced last season in Season 1. But for 2,400 COD points, you end up getting the Metal Phantom Operator skin for Mace, thus unlocking him. You get the Bludgeoner LMG blueprint. You end up getting the Skull Hammer Shotgun blueprint. You get the Winding Skull Watch, the Skull Blade Melee, the Akimbo Calling Card, the Brainstorm Emblem, the An Operator Quip, Mace to the Face finishing move, and of course 2 tiers on your battle pass with that. So again, this one really just comes down to if you want the operator or not, which is completely subjective. That's entirely up to you, but that's there for you guys if you're interested. And then we saw the introduction of the Executive Armory 4. Another bundle that for 1,800 COD points gives you 3 weapon blueprints and a couple of smaller customization items. You end up seeing the Golden Rule Uzi blueprint, the Sell High Dragonov blueprint, and of course the M19 Moneymaker blueprint, along with the Ancient Royal Charm and the Pharaoh sticker. You do of course have your dailies, but that's dependent on if you've bought anything, and so therefore yours probably won't match up with mine, but those are the things introduced in the shop. But outside of that, we have a whole host of different changes on the back end, some weapon tuning, some challenge fixes, some bug fixes, and all that. So to break this stuff down here for you quickly, let's start with the weaponry here for that, because it's probably the biggest thing you care about. That being, it fixed the bug where weapons stop showing level progression 1 level before their max rank. That actually happened for me and actually almost threw off my entire Damascus grind, which would have been a huge bummer, but for some odd curveball of chance, like 5 to 10 games later, it finally ranked up my one launcher that was stuck, but that's been fixed out. The Striker 45 now has a fix for the range and ADS speed to match the description of the 300mm poly barrel. The Model 680 with the XRK 30-inch Sport had a range increase. For the Model 680 XRK 18-inch Liberator, the R90 Force Tac Sentry, and the Origin 12 Forge Tac Precision, there was a slight range decrease and an ADS increase to those. All 3 having those changes made to those. The underbarrel shotguns had an increase to the pellet count. It reduced the rate of fire. It increased the shell count to 8. It also tuned the auto swap after ammo is complete and increased the range. So underbarrel shotguns got a pretty hefty buff there. The crossbows increased the reload speed, unfortunately bringing that down a little bit. With the Kimbo Snake Shot 357s, it fixed the bug where they did not register damage for both guns when fired at the same frame. It reduced the recoil for the SA-87 12.4-inch factory barrel. It also increased the close and mid-range damage for the AK-47's 39mm round magazine. That's the weaponry adjustments here with that, but let's talk a little bit about some general fixes and also some challenge fixes now. There are various map exploit glitches. There are fixes for an incorrect career level. There are more fixes to the regiment tags, so we'll see what exactly that fixes out, if there's still the unbound clan tags or any aim assist discrepancies that it may cause. There are some fixes on spawn exploits on Vacant, some issues with the white phosphorus killing all players instantly in realism mode, some score tallying issues with Fire in the Hole, that trial being fixed out, and then on the challenge end, it fixed the Karma challenge where kills with enemy weapons were not tracking properly, and same thing goes for a daily challenge of a similar task, being that it fixed get the X amount of number of kills with the enemy weapon that tracks properly. It had a fix for an objective when completing goal Golems operator mission that requested 5 kills with lethal equipment, but it tracked with kill streaks instead. There are fixes for the Alliance objectives 2 and 6, where firstly you had to get 50 kills with Juggernauts as Otter as your operator. That's been fixed out and tracks properly, and now also the 6th objective to complete any 4 co-op operations has been fixed also. Outside of that, we saw a handful of things for Spec Ops in terms of survival, the overall operations, and a host of back-end fixes here as well. We saw some changes for the Call of Duty League settings and some things that came along with that. Those can be found in the patch notes, which are linked down there in the description below. But ultimately, that is the update here. Update 1.15, and something that, of course, had a bit more to it than you may have been anticipating in terms of yesterday looking at the week ahead, or if there's anything that you jumped in and maybe just didn't see right on the front-facing application. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of this update? Do you like it? Do you not like it so much? Or are you waiting on anything in particular? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. But that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to get connected with me a little bit further outside of YouTube, Twitter and Instagram are the best places to do so. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.